Hello friends, you're with a Lonesome Gamer, and today I want to play Street Masters by Adam and Brady Sadler. And the first boxes are by Blacklist Games, and the latest expansions are by Steamforged. Now, the core game, I don't have the box of the core game, and also not of the first expansions, The Legend of Oni and the Twin Tigers. I don't own actually the Twin Tigers, but pretty much everything else. Then we have the Aftershock expansion, which is basically, I think, Street Masters Part 2, and that holds a ton of stretch goals and whatnot. Then we got Street Masters Part 3, Tide of the Dragon, which you can now pretty easily get in retail, but probably more the standee version. And there is also a miniatures version, which is harder to get because this was, I think, Kickstarter exclusive. And then there is also Street Masters 4, Lament of the Blood Moon, and I think this was also only available via Kickstarter, but I'm not sure about that, honestly. Just let me show you what kind of content we have here, so that you just get a basic idea how this game works, because it's also like many other games that I really love, it's very, very modular and gives you a ton of replayability, therefore. So I'm going to open this one here. Okay, so this is basically what I wanted to show you, just so you get an impression of how much stuff comes with the game. So when you play a game of Street Masters, what you do is you pick a couple of fighters, and all these here, these are all the fighters. Each of them has their individual deck, and you can play it in a campaign mode, where each fighter also gets specific story cards and also the option to upgrade the deck to a certain level. Then you choose an enemy, and these here, these are the enemy gangs, basically. It's always a couple of villains. Could be some, I don't know, kind of rock biker gangs, or maybe vampires, or you got, I don't know, some old-fashioned Chinese mystical concepts, or the mafia. There's a ton of options in this game. And then finally this here, you choose a stage, and these are all the stages. So that could be, I don't know, an old marketplace, or I don't know, a pyramid, or I got no clue what we got here. Maybe some steelworks. There's a ton of options, and you kind of can mix this in any way you want, and then just play it out. So that's what I want to do. For now, I haven't painted too many enemies. I just painted the Kingdom and the All Heaven gang, so I'm going to choose one of the two, and I also just painted a handful of characters. So we are a little bit limited here, but well, I'm going to let you know in a minute what I'm going to come up with. Okay, so the game is set up. It's pretty cool. It doesn't take long to do that. Let me show you what we got here, and before we can start playing, there's quite a lot to read, So you might also consider just skipping forward. So we got the wound markers here in 1, 5s, 10s, and 25s. We got defense tokens, like they look like this. So this represents, for example, a specific kick defense, and on the back side they then become power tokens. We got the same for grapple, and over here for punch. Some other stuff that we probably won't need. Couple of dice. Now this is a these are basically 2 dice sets. So you only get half of that in the standard game, and I think you are a little bit short on dice in this specific case then. We got, well, I'm not going to use these. We got a loot deck. We got the enemy deck here. We play against the kingdom. And the kingdom has 3 bosses. And we play against one of them, and that is Kemono. And we get to this a little later. We play on the stage mob rules. So there we go. And we got a few cards for this stage too. This is the stage area. This is the enemy area. Got a couple of miniatures over there. And then we got our fighters. They are both from the expansion, the Tide of the Dragon expansion. So we got Bruce here with his miniature here. And then we got Victoria, and she's got that miniature here. All right. So the starting places for the fighters are these spaces here with the joystick, basically. So yeah, we're going to place them like this and like that. And the enemy boss, Kemono, he starts right here where this symbol is. All right. Then we got here these markers. These are the objective tokens, and they are now inactive, and they can get activated, and then they just look like this. And then we have the crates here, and if we enter these spaces, we will get loot. Okay, so what I think is really cool, there is a lot of lore. We got all this stuff here that shows the fighters, the enemies, the allies, the stages. This is a compendium, and you can, I mean, it is available in book format, but it's pretty expensive if you want to find it on eBay. But you can download that actually for free. And yeah, it has a ton of lore about the content of Blacklist games. So the Steamforged content is not included, and sadly there is basically no lore about it, except for the campaign cards. I guess they give you a little bit of a backstory of the fighters, for example, but I don't want to spoil them. So I cannot say anything about the background of the fighters, but I can say a little bit about the kingdom here and Kemono himself. So you can see here it has a medium complexity rating. Forever watchful. Steeped in mystery, its origins hidden away in the deep, dark pit of history, the kingdom have existed for centuries, its tendrils clasped around human history, and its influence holding together the fabric of civilization. Those unlucky enough to attract its attention first come face to face with its emissary and enforcer, Kemono, a hulking, multi-armed beast whose origins are as enigmatic as those of the group he represents. Some think, so it's this guy here, right? Some think he was born of dark magic, others science, but all agree the biggest question of them all is why he serves. Rumors suggest he was once the kingdom's slave, captured and forced to fight in their underground coliseums for the entertainment of those who once ruled. Whispers claim he was undefeated for hundreds of years until a newly declared leader fought him in the ring and won, granting the beast mercy if it would swear allegiance to him. If such a tale is true remains a matter of debate, but one thing is certain, Kimono would die for his master. And then there's more information about the other two bosses, which is Jackal and Shadow. But this is not really of interest for now. What is interesting though are the minions. We have 3 different types of minions. We have 3 of these mountain generals. You can see there's the other 2. Mountain generals come from a line of proud island warriors raised and trained within the caverns of a sacred volcano. When hopefuls come of age, they partake in a journey to manhood by surviving a year in the forbidden wilderness, among ravenous beasts and a forest of poison and death. If they survive, they continue training for 4 more years in a lost martial art that combines sumo with the practices of various legendary kahunas. Those deemed worthy are allowed to proceed, where they enter death matches against current mountain generals in the hopes of replacing them. Mountain generals have served the kingdom since their inception, their titanic strength having helped to overthrow even the most resilient of their enemies. Then we have these guys, the power soldiers. Jackal's expertise, now that is one of the other bosses, in bioengineering and stem cell research has led to the creation of these deadly drones dubbed martial arts zombies by anyone unfortunate enough to have encountered them. Using cultivated neurons and memory fragments from skilled combatants, she has turned brain-dead bodies, or husks as she calls them, into fearsome weapons able to be programmed to fit any need. Equipped with her latest power armor design, these merciless warriors serve only one function: advance the kingdom's agenda at all cost. And then we have the marionette dolls, and you can see them here. Taking her experiments a step further, Jackal has grown clones of herself by combining her DNA with the essences of martial artists she has come across in the past. This has turned her dolls into formidable fighters, yet they are more than mere foot soldiers. The marionettes act as Jackal's eyes and ears, her telepathic abilities allowing her to see and hear through them at any time. Through additional experimentation, Jackal has used dark matter to shift cells and molecular structures around long enough to take possession of a doll's body as if it were her own, granting Jackal the ability to spy on her enemies both inside and outside the kingdom. The marionette dolls are as much a psychological weapon as they are a physical one in the war against her foes. Okay, so these are the enemies we are facing. And yeah, so we got Bruce, and sadly we don't know about anything about him and Victoria. Okay, so our goal in every scenario is to kill the boss. The boss is Kimono, and he has 25 life points per player. So overall he's got 50 life points. And yeah, that's the guy we have to kill. And there are specific rules now in this on this stage. It says mob rules. Search the stage deck for mobsters, which is this card here. And we're going to see later what this card does. And place it in the stage play area. Search the stage deck for check, please. So this is the one here. And these are, well, we'll see, wait a minute. This one is activated during the stage area. This one is during the stage phase. This one is basically an additional rule. Let's see, and place it in the stage play area. Search, okay, we did that. Oh yes, search the stage deck for Mateos and place it nearby for reference. That's the one up here. These are additional rules. Place each objective token on the map in its corresponding space, inactive side up. Shuffle the stage deck. Okay, so that's what we did. Here are the tokens on the map. And I wonder what that is here underneath. Not sure actually. I have no clue what that is. Looks like some giant boxes or something. I don't know what that should be. Alright, so we got a couple of specific symbols. We got doors here, two of them, one here, and then there is a wall here in between. And in most stages, you don't really have that. You often have one big, more or less free accessible area with some obstacles, but here you have really basically two different rooms, which is interesting. Then we got safes, and we got this one here, and we got one over here, and I think there's only these two. And then we got tables, and here we got 1, 2, 3, 4 of these tables. All right. Objective tokens are mobsters, so these here. These are mobsters and are treated as enemy figures with 1 health that cannot gain defense tokens. When objectives are defeated, they are returned to their corresponding objective space, inactive side up. Okay, so basically if we do 1 single damage against an objective, it goes back onto its starting space and is deactivated again. Activate. The boss flips an adjacent inactive objective to its active side if able. Then the boss moves 3 spaces toward the nearest inactive objective. So this is going to happen, this activate thing is going to happen during the stage phase. So basically you could argue at the end of every turn, this is what happens. So the boss tries to activate these mobsters here. Okay, and then these mobsters, they will then move toward a safe. And yeah, so they try to move towards these safes, and they're going to place a marker there. And if I'm not mistaken, I think if there are 3 markers on the safes, we've lost the game. The stage map is broken up into 2 rooms divided by walls. Spaces divided by a wall are not adjacent. Okay. Figures may not move between rooms except via doors. Figures may move between rooms via the door but may not end their movement in a door. If an enemy figure would end its movement in a door, it is placed in the empty space nearest the door in the room they were moving. Damage cannot be dealt from a door. Okay. Figures may only attack and deal damage to figures in their room. And safes, you can see down here, safes are blocked for fighters, so you're not allowed to stand on a safe. Because otherwise you could keep the mobsters from going there. Let me see. I thought I've read somewhere. Where is the losing condition? Oh, it's this one here. If this card ever has 3 power on it, the fighters lose. Yeah, and you activate the card also every turn. Each active objective moves 3 spaces toward the nearest safe. Then each objective on a safe places 1 power on this card and is defeated. So yeah, they basically move there. If they get there, they place a power there, a marker here basically, and then they are destroyed. And they will spawn, they will be activated again by the boss, and then they try again to move there. And whenever 3 of them make it to the safes, we've lost the game. So we wanna try to avoid that, but that's not all we got to do. Our main goal is to kill the boss, Kemono. Okay, so we're ready to go now, and first we got to draw cards for our 2 fighters, and I'm gonna place this player 8 on top here just as a reminder who already did their turn, and also if I had drawn a card or not. You're going to see that later how that works for me, but otherwise I tend to forget to draw the card at the end of the turn. Okay, so we got 4 cards that we can draw at the beginning of the game, and we have a mulligan. So we can check which cards we want to keep, and we can discard the others and then redraw. So I think, now I'm not really good at this game, but I think it is very important at the beginning to have tactic cards. Because for me the flow of the game is you want to build up your character, and the tactic cards are cards that you play on the table and that stay on the table, and they give you a permanent advantage. So that also means that usually at the start of the game you're not that strong and you're not immediately attacking the boss. Usually you're trying to build up your character first. Okay, so this is an important tactic card, I think, for him. So I'm going to keep this one. We got an attack card here, we got another tactic, and we got another tactic. That is great because you usually have 3 different tactic cards in your deck. You have them multiple times. I think each card is in there, I think 3 times, maybe 2 times. I'm not absolutely sure, but I think actually 3 times. So you have basically 9 tactic cards in your deck. At least that's what I think. But only 3 different ones. So we want to keep all 3 of them. That's perfect. And this one, you know what? I'm going to keep everything here. That's just fine for me. And yeah, we were lucky here. Now let's see what she got. Also 4 cards. Okay, that's an attack. You can see that over here. Another attack. Okay, she got 3 attacks and an ability. You know what? I think I'm gonna discard all of them and hope for a tactic. Yeah, okay, that's better. We got 1 tactic, got another tactic, but that's oh, it's the same tactic, so that doesn't really help much. We got an attack, okay, and another attack. So that wasn't that good. We only have basically 1 tactic. That's That's not cool. But okay, I mean, we gotta accept what we got here. Okay, so this is our discard here, and now we're ready to start. So first we can choose which player to start with. We can do that every turn. There is no fixed order. And I'm going to simply start with Bruce here. There is this reference card for him that's kind of special because he has a couple of special rules. Basically just one, and for him facing is important. Usually the game ignores facing, but he has that special rule. And so basically, at any given time, Bruce can only be facing a single adjacent space. Any figure in a space adjacent to Bruce in the direction the arrow is indicating is considered in front of Bruce. So basically, I'm basically going to take his arm as the arrow, right? So he's now facing this space here. When attacking a target in front of him, Bruce can reroll one of his fighter dice before resolving the attack. When defending from a target made by an enemy in front of him, Bruce can reroll one of his attacker's enemy dice before resolving the attack. Bruce may only adjust his facing after he moves or when instructed by a card effect. Okay, so that's it. Nothing exciting here, but just that we keep that in mind. But yeah, it's nothing super fancy. All right. So now we have our fighter turn here, and these cards are just perfect because they basically tell you everything you got to know, and the rules are pretty simple for this game. So let's see. Each fighter performs a fighter turn in an order of the group's choosing. During your fighter turn, resolve each phase in the following order. Okay, so we start with the threat phase. Refresh each card in your fighter play area, where we don't have any exhausted cards at the moment, and then draw and resolve one enemy card. Okay, so we do this, we simply draw one card here. Okay. Electrical currents. That's an event. Each fighter must either place one power on one tactic Kimono controls or discard one card they control. Then, if Kimono controls no tactic cards, play the topmost tactic card from the enemy discard pile. Okay. Well, so this goes into... I need a bit more room here. We use this as a discard here, and okay, so there's not much choice here because we could discard a card we control, but controlling a card means that we played a card in front of us. So basically a card placed in our tableau. We could discard that to prevent placing a power on one of his tactic cards, but we can't do this. So basically everybody has to place a power. A power is simply this symbol which you find on the other side of these defense markers. That's called power. Okay, so we got two players, so we got to place two powers on a tactic card, and there is only this tactic cards here, the Mutant Prowess, so we're going to simply place two power here, and that's all that happens. Okay, that was the threat phase during his turn, and now we come to the act phase, and that's where the big part of the gameplay takes place. Okay, so let's see what the card says. You may perform each of the following steps in an order of your choosing. So we got 3 steps. We got the move step, which allows us simply to move 3 spaces. We got the card steps, which allows us to play 1 card from our hand. And then we got the action steps, which allows us to do an action. So that's really simple, right? Moving, playing a card, doing an action. And we can choose in which order we want to do that. Now, it gets a little more interesting with the actions because we have 4 different actions and we can choose one of them. So first is basically the sprint action, which basically means we can simply move a second time. So move up to 3 spaces again, basically. Then there's the defend action, which means gain 2 random defense tokens. So if we want to prepare for an attack, we would then roll 2 of these dice, and then we would get these defense tokens. So in this case would be a grapple and a punch token. I'm going to get these and place them on our card. Then we got the card action. Resolve the action effect on 1 card in your play area. So in this case here, we only have 1 single card with an action effect in our play area. That is our character card, and it has this action here. You may move 1 space, then attack with 2 attack dice. Okay. And then last we have the interact action. Resolve the interact effect on any card in play. So right now we only have a single card in play with an interact effect. And that is this one here, the check please. It says interact. If you are in a table space, attack with 3 dice, targeting an enemy within 4 spaces and dealing general damage. After this attack, deal 1 general damage to each figure adjacent to the target. Okay, so if we would be on one of these table spaces here, and you can see the symbol, right? This is this symbol here, just basically the other way. You know what? I think actually I'm gonna. Doesn't really matter, but I'm gonna turn this card so that the symbols are upside down. Yeah, not that it really matters, but let's do that anyway. Okay, so let's see what we want to do. I definitely want to play a tactic card. There's no question. That is, during my card step, I definitely want to play a tactic card. Now we got, as already mentioned, we got these cards here. We got the you may move through enemy figures. That's shapeless. That's pretty cool. And I could exhaust this card at any time. So I'm basically going to tap the card, and then I can untap it at the start of my next turn during the threat phase. Refresh each card in your fight or play area. So I could exhaust this card during any time during the game, even during a when another guy has its turn, to gain 1 defense token of my choice. Okay, that's cool. And the other option is fleet-footed. When an enemy in front of you attacks you, reduce their attack value by 1. Okay, so that means in addition to re-rolling 1 of their dice, because when they are in front of me, I can re-roll 1 of their dice. That's Bruce's special ability. And I could also exhaust the card to move up to 2 spaces. So that gives me additional movement. And then we got this one here. My body is a weapon. Gain +1 dice during each of your attacks targeting an enemy in front of you. And as an exhaust, I can gain 1 power. Okay, so power, we've already said that, are these markers here. If we accumulate 6 power, as written here, she only needs 5 power, then we are basically charged, and then at that point we will discard these power markers and flip our card to the charged side, and then we have the option to do this action here, which is basically a really powerful move, and then we're gonna flip the card back again. So that is definitely something we want to try to achieve. And if we're getting stronger and stronger, eventually we're gonna end up more and more in this charged status. So you know what I want to do? I think I'm gonna simply play. Yeah, I think I'm simply gonna play my body as a weapon. And because it's a tactic card, I'm gonna place it just in front of me. And just to make sure that I don't forget that, I'm immediately going to exhaust the card to get a power. So I'm simply going to place that here. And that was my card step. So now I got a move step and I still got my action step. So let's see what I want to do here. Okay, now, what is this? Okay, that's just placed here. Now that I'm thinking about how to position myself, I got to think about what the enemies do. Now, for the moment, we only have the boss on the board, and so when he activates, which he will do at the very end, after both fighters acted, then the boss will activate. And when that happens, he attacks each fighter within 2 spaces of him with a pretty brutal attack. He's got an attack value of 4, which means he's allowed to roll 4 attack dice, and he gets a +1 from the mutant prowess. So he's got 5 attack dice, which really sucks. It's a massive attack, and so we will get that if we are within 2 spaces of him. If we are not attacked, we got to place a power on a tactic card, so just like we did before, or place 1 random defense token on this guy. Okay, and this card says if there are 3 power on this card, we're going to discard 3 of them, and then he attacks each fighter. Okay. So, yeah, that's kind of rough. Now let me see what I want to do. Okay, I think, in addition, what I know is if we should spawn minions, so these guys, they will show up in the closest spawn spaces. So they will come, these are these spawn spaces here, and we got also one here and another one here. So they come either through the doors here or they come from the basement. And yeah, so they come through the closest unoccupied space from the fighter who spawned the minion. So that means they will probably show up in this area here. Anyway, what I want to do is I think for now I'm going to use Bruce, and I'm going to simply move 1, 2, 3 spaces, and I'm going to turn around, so just to make sure that I'm facing this these hexes here. I don't think that I will get attacked, but I just want to be safe here. And then, so that was my move step. Now I could move again. I'm really thinking about doing this, getting the crate, and then moving a little bit in this direction here. But on the other hand, if this guy attacks each fighter with his mutant prowess, no matter where he's standing, I think I should prepare for that attack. Therefore, I do a defense action, and that gives me 2 random defense tokens. Okay, so I get a grapple and a fist. I'm just going to place them here next to me. Okay, nice. All right, so I did my my 3 steps: move step, card step, action step. And now we go to the react phase. From left to right, activate each card in your threat area by resolving its activate ability. Well, this would be my threat area here, but there are no cards in there, so nothing happens there now. And then the draw phase. Draw 1 card and flip this card. Okay, so, and that's what I mean by I'm going to place the card here on top, because now I remember I have to draw this card. I easily forget that. And then I'm going to flip the card and I'm going to place it on top here again. So now I know, okay, I've drawn a card and this guy did his turn. And now he's got 4 cards again. And okay, fine. And now it's her. And we start again in the threat phase, so therefore we're going to draw an enemy card. Okay, now we have a minion, a marionette doll. Okay, and because it is a minion, we got to place her in our threat area. So she is simply placed here now. And we got to spawn her in the spawning space closest to us. So yeah, this is one of these spaces, 1, 2, it doesn't really matter. So I think I'm going to spawn her simply here. Okay, that's where she shows up. And during the react phase now, from left to right, activate each card in your threat area. We're going to have to activate her. And then we can see here, she attacks. But, oh, before we do that actually, we got to give her 1 punch defense token per player. Okay, let's do that. So she gets 2 punch defense token. So she attacks. If there is just written attack, then she will only attack adjacent enemies. So if I would not be adjacent to her, I would not get attacked by her from this step. This enemy gains +1 attack value if the target has no defense tokens. Then advance 3 spaces toward the nearest fighter, and if unengaged, so meaning that if there is no fighter adjacent to her at that point, deal the nearest fighter within 6 spaces of this enemy 1 direct damage. Okay, direct damage is damage that you cannot block with defense tokens. Non-direct damage, you have the option to block it with a matching defense token. Okay. So that's important to keep in mind how she will act. Now let's see what I want to do here. So I could consider attacking her immediately. You may move 1 space. I got this card here, for example. You may move 1 space and attack with 2 dice, then gain 2 defense tokens of your choice. So that's not so bad. That is definitely an option. But she has 5 life points, and on average you basically do maybe, I mean, I wouldn't, yeah, I mean, maybe not on average, but maybe you do, yeah. Maybe on average you kind of do 1 damage per attack die. So I could expect to do 2 damage, which means I will not be able to kill her. And then if I end up next to her, she could attack me back. So I'm not sure if I want to use this action to attack her. Okay, again, I think it's important for me to play tactics first. And I think I'm just going to ignore her for now and play the crank it up card. It says each time you gain a punch defense token, you may place it on this card. And this is basically her main mechanic, right? She has the option to place defense tokens on her tactic cards. Exhaust, discard 1 defense token from this card to gain 2 power. Or feint, which means she kind of has to discard this card. Gain each token on this card, then gain 1 power for each token gained. Okay. So this is a way basically for her to get power. What's important is fighters cannot block damage using defense tokens on tactic cards they control. So if she chooses to place a defense token here on this card, instead of placing it on her fighter card, she cannot use that for the defense. Okay, so yeah, the card was played. Now we got to think where I want to move and what I want to do. Now thinking about if I move here and then when she activates, she will not attack me. She's going to advance 3 spaces, which means she would end up next to me. And because then she would be engaged, she would not deal the nearest fighter within 6 spaces 1 direct damage, because that only happens if she's unengaged. So maybe that's actually something I want to do. Yeah, I think I want to do this. So yeah, I think I'm just going to do pretty much the same as the other guy. So I'm going to move 1, 2, 3 over here, aiming for this crate. So I did my move step, my card step, and now I think I'm also going to do a defend action. Yeah, let's do that. I'm also going to roll 2 dice. And now if I get a punch defense token, I could place it on this card. So let's see. Okay, so we got 2 kick defense tokens. All right. So therefore, they simply go here. And now we go to the react phase. So now the marionette doll activates. She doesn't attack because there's nobody adjacent. Advance 3 spaces toward the nearest fighter, and if unengaged, deal damage. Well, she's not going to be unengaged. She simply moves now 3 spaces toward. And I think, you know, I'm not absolutely sure, but I think they try to move in a straight line if possible. Actually, I am quite sure about that. So she's going to simply move here, and she's she's going to use the least possible direction changes. So she just ends up here. Okay. And by the way, you can see here, this is kind of this blue card. Now there are different marionette doll cards, and they have all different colors, and this has a blue base, and the other marionette dolls have then different base colors. So each card activates a specific figure. Okay, so that's it. That was the react phase. Now we got to draw to the draw phase, and I really want to draw tactic cards here because I'm already out of tactic cards. And now this is an attack card. So that was not what I was hoping for. And then we're going to flip the card. All right. Now we see here the card says enemy turn. The group activates each card in the enemy play area from left to right by resolving its activate ability. Okay, so we start with Kemono. Activate. Kemono attacks each fighter within 2 spaces of him. Well, there's nobody there. He's standing here in the center. We got no fighter around here. Okay, each fighter not attacked this way must either place 1 power on a tactic Kemono controls or place 1 random defense token on Kemono. Okay, I'm going to go with the defense tokens, and so I'm going to roll 2 dice. Okay, so he gets 2 kick tokens, 2 kick defense. Now what's important here, a card can have a maximum of 15 defense tokens. That sounds like a lot, but it is totally possible for the bosses to accumulate that many tokens. And so we got to keep counting there a little bit. We got then later there are also these 5 defense token markers. Yeah, okay, so we got to keep that in mind. Okay, so we were not attacked by him, and now it says here, and we did not place a power here to avoid this attack. Kemono discards 3 power from this card, if able, to attack each fighter. Otherwise, place 1 power on this card. Okay, so now we got to place a 3rd power here, and that means now in the next turn we're going to get an attack from him, each of us, and it's going to be a 5 dice attack, which is really not good. All right. So that is the end of the enemy turn. We activated the cards in the enemy area. And now we come to the stage turn. Activation phase. The group activates each card in the stage play area from left to right by resolving its activate ability. Okay, so first we got here on the stage rules. Activate. The boss flips an adjacent inactive objective to its active side if able. Well, he's not adjacent to an objective, so that's not going to happen. Then the boss moves 3 spaces toward the nearest inactive objective. All right, so yeah, that is going to be the yellow one over here. So he moves simply 1, 2, 3, and that's it. So next turn, he's going to flip this. Okay. So, and these objectives are the mobsters. So first, if this card ever has 3 power on it, the fighters lose. Well, that's not the case. Activate. Each active objective moves 3 spaces. Okay, there is no active objective, so therefore the mobsters do not move. Okay, so we activated all the cards here. Then draw phase. Draw and resolve 1 stage card. Okay, so we do this. Dine and dash. The fighter nearest an objective token must either flip it if inactive or move it 3 spaces toward the safe nearest it if active. Each other fighter is dealt 1 general damage for each active objective. Okay. Alright. So, by the way, I have no idea what these cards do. So there's definitely a surprise. I've never played that before. So let's see. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay. So therefore, 1, 2, 3. Yeah, we got to flip this thing here to active. Each other fighter is dealt 1 general damage for each active objective. So that means he takes now a general damage because we have now 1 active objective. And general damage is damage that you can block with any type of defense token. So we can simply choose here. I'm going to use the punch token here because it's a little easier for me to generate new punch tokens. You will see later why. And when I block a damage with a token, that means I simply flip the token. And now this becomes a power token, and I can place it here. And remember, if I ever get to 6 power, then I can charge the character. So taking damage or being attacked is not necessarily bad if you can defend the attack. Then it can be pretty good. And yeah, so general damage, as I said, means you can choose which you can choose the defense token. Alright, so that's that. Now we're going to use this here. We start a discard pile over here and draw and resolve 1 stage card. Okay, we did that. Then end phase. Each fighter flips their turn card to its fighter turn side. Okay, however, before we do that, here's a house rule. So usually you can change the difficulty of a scenario by using these character cards. So these are either allies or rivals. And these are basically either, that's kind of cool, right? You have either the fighters here, you also have enemies that can show up as rivals, or bosses or minions. So these are pretty much all the characters that are available in the game. And if you start the game, the rules suggest that you add either, for example, 1 ally per fighter, or if you want it a little easier, or you could also simply add the rivals, and that makes the game harder, obviously. Now, I want it a little bit with a surprise. What I'm going to do is, I'm going to roll after each stage phase, I'm going to roll a die. And if I roll a 5 or a 6, an ally will appear to help us out. Now there can always be a maximum of 2 allies in the game. Okay? But as soon as one of them should die, it is possible that a new one shows up. So let's see where we are now. Okay, we got a 5. That's pretty cool. And now I'm gonna basically simply draw a random ally here. Okay, so we ended up with Lion, and the way I use these allies is the following. So usually one of the players controls them, and he plays them here, and then you can exhaust this guy and do the actions. I'm going to use them as a common resource. So basically, each player has now the option to exhaust the guy, and then he can, in this case, move him 4 spaces. Okay, now Lion shows up on the spawning space closest to one of the players, so therefore he will show up here. Now there is already a miniature for him, but there's also a miniature for him, but I haven't painted it, so I actually prefer to simply use this token instead. So he comes out here from the basement to help us, and he has 5 health points. He has also a massive attack. That's pretty crazy. An attack of 5. He has 2 defense tokens, punch, and 2 grapple defense tokens. That's actually a pretty good ally, I think. So let's place the defense tokens here. Now he will not get power. If he uses a token to defend himself, he's not going to get any power here. And let's face it, if this guy attacks each fighter, and these count as fighters, he's going to already take a really bad hit. So he's probably just going to survive like 2 attacks from this guy, and then it's kind of over. And his mutant prowess allows him to attack everywhere on the map, which is pretty bad for these kind of small health allies. But still, it's a pretty good guy, and if we use an interact action, he attacks. So we can basically move him once per space, once per turn. Then you get exhausted, and then a player can interact with him. You can simply interact with a card, and I don't think you have to be adjacent to him. It doesn't say that anyway. Yeah, on any card in play, resolve the interact effect on any card in play. So as an action, we could do this, and then we can attack with him. You can use the 5 dice to attack with him. But that means that we cannot do one of these actions ourselves. So that's a bit of an issue. Okay, anyway, so that is now the end of this turn, and we're simply going to flip these cards back, and then we're going to start the next turn. Okay, so I think this time, do I want to start with Bruce again or with Victoria? I think, tough question. I think I want to start with Victoria this time. So first we go to the threat phase. On the other hand, I'm going to start with Bruce, because if I start with Victoria and I got to spawn an additional enemy here, that enemy might attack before Bruce has an option to do something. So maybe I prefer that. So I'm going to start with Bruce. And we got to draw. First we can unexhaust our cards. And now we got to draw an enemy card. And that is the static grab. Each fighter within 3 spaces of Kemono moves 3 spaces toward Kemono. And then he attacks each fighter moved this way. Okay, if no fighters were moved this way, Kemono gains 3 random defense tokens. Oh boy, that's not good. So he gets 3 grapple tokens. All right. Wow, this is going to be tough. Okay, Yeah, there's no fighter within 3 spaces, so. And now we can play another card, and again I'm going to play a tactic card, and I'm going to play the fleet-footed. Or maybe the shapeless. You know, I think I'm going to play the shapeless, because if I exhaust that, I get a defense token of my choice, and I think this is a good idea. So I'm going to play shapeless. Then I can move again 3 spaces. And, well, I'm going to grab the crate, so I simply move over the crate, and that allows me to draw a loot card, and then I can move on. So I don't have to stop here to get a loot card. So I can simply take this. Now the crate is removed, and then I'm going to move 2 more spaces. I'm going to move here, and I'm going to draw this loot card, and that is a candy bars. At any time you may discard this card. If you do, each fighter may heal 1 damage and gain 1 defense token of their choice. Okay. That is not bad at all. Okay. So now okay, let me see. Oops, wait a minute. I think she was standing. No, I think she was actually standing here, right? Yeah. Or was she standing here? No, wait a minute. Yeah, she was standing here, actually. Okay, let me see. There's a thing that I want to check, and that is... Oh, that's interesting. No, wait a minute. Figures may only attack and deal damage to figures in their room. Oh, look at that. So if we get attacked by Kimono, we're safe as long as we're in the other room. That is interesting. I didn't actually think about that. That's pretty cool. That's really cool in this scenario. So technically that means, and this is now a thing, right? I mean, the fact that the game is so modular gives you sometimes weird situations. If you combine this boss, you can combine him with every scenario, but it is pretty rare that there are these kind of safe spaces in a scenario. So that makes this guy, I think, much weaker, this specific stage, because he cannot attack us here. That's a big deal, actually. So you could argue, as long as we manage to defend these safes here in this room, from the incoming mobsters, which should not be so hard because they only take a single hit, it should be pretty easily possible for us to kind of keep the state of the game stable, because this guy will basically constantly move in this room from one objective to the other. He's not going to go after the fighters themselves, which is also kind of unusual. Most bosses move towards the fighters and try to attack them, but he doesn't do that, right? So this is an interesting aspect that I really have to keep in mind. Okay, so let me think about this. What do I want to do now? I could move this guy and attack her. That sounds... I think that sounds like a good option to me. So I'm going to move. I'm going to exhaust this guy, lion. That allows me to move up to 4 spaces. So I'm simply going to move here. And so now I could either use the interact action to attack her, or I could do another defense action and simply try to collect a couple of markers here. I got a feeling for her that I got a feeling for her the defense actions are actually are more valuable, because she can use the defend markers to improve her tactic cards. So I'm going to use my action to do an interact action, and I'm going to attack the marionette doll. So he's got 5 dice, and because he is a companion, he also uses these standard dice here, the white dice that the villains move. Okay, so he does 3 kick damage and 2 grapple damage, and look at that, that's crazy. He actually kills the marionette doll right away, because she cannot block the damage in any way. She doesn't have matching defense tokens, she only has punch tokens. So that was pretty awesome. And so she is killed. She goes here to the discard pile, and if you kill someone, even with a companion, you get a loot card as a reward if you kill a minion. Okay, that's a leather whip. Discard this card during your grapple attack to add +2 dice to the attack. Nice. Well, I mean, this is actually going quite well. So she is removed again, and so now we go to the react phase. Nothing is happening. Now we go again to the draw phase. So we see we get another card here. This time it's an attack card, and we're going to simply flip this, and then we're good. And now it is again Victoria's turn. The doll is gone. So and we got another one. This time it's the purple one, and it's nothing too exciting here. It's exactly the same thing. She gets 2 punch token, 1 per player, and we're gonna take the purple miniature here. Oops. And then she is placed on the closest space of her, which is this one. And that's it. So now we go to the act phase, and yeah, I gotta think what I want to do here. Okay, so I think first I'm also going to go for this crate. So I'm going to move 3 spaces. 1, Draw a loot card. Survival rations. At any time you may discard this card to heal 2 damage and gain 1 defense token of your choice. I guess that will be useful. And I got 2 more movement points. So yeah, I think I'm just going to move here. And the thing is, I could, if I sprint, I could move her and then play one of my attack cards, trying to deal damage. But the thing is, my attack cards are probably not strong enough to kill her. So I'm thinking about simply staying here and not play a card. On the other hand, I don't know. It's really... If I had one more movement, I could use this action and I would not have to move again, because this includes you may move 1 space and attack. I wonder if there is a way for me to move and attack in one of these cards. Oh! The windmill slam. That looks interesting. Yeah, that sounds cool. This actually allows me to do this. Remove an enemy engaged with you from the board. Okay, there is no one engaged with me at the moment. I can then move and place that enemy in a space adjacent to you. Huh. That's interesting. I wonder if I can actually do this without removing an enemy. But I don't think so, honestly. I don't think this is possible. It's a grapple attack, so you know it makes sense that you are engaged with someone when you play this card. So I think I cannot use this card for the movement itself. Yeah, that sucks. Any other options? What about these cards here? Nah. Okay. So that means yeah, I think I still want to do an attack here. So I'm going to do a sprint action, and I'm going to move here, I guess. And then I can play one of my cards. Now I got this windmill slam. Okay, let me see. She's got punch defense tokens, so it makes sense to use a non-punch attack. Now this is a grapple attack, as you can see here in the top left, and this is a kick attack. So I could use either one of them, I guess. Attack 2. Tactic, I don't really have that. Windmill slam, remove an enemy. On the other hand, if I use punch, I could generate punch defense tokens, which I could place on this card. Interesting too. Yeah. I'm actually thinking about doing this. Yeah, I'm pretty sure I'm not going to kill her anyway. Uh, it's a tough choice though. Nah, it's really tough. I think. Uh, okay, I think actually I'm going to use the windmill slam. So remove an enemy engaged with you from the board, move up to 2 spaces and place that enemy in a space adjacent to you. Okay, so let's do that. Okay, I can move up to 2 spaces. Where do I want her to be? Doesn't really matter. Maybe it makes sense to move here and then place her here. So she's also adjacent to this guy then. All right. And then attack with 2 dice. Okay. So now for the first time, we're going to use these red attack dice because these are the dice that the heroes use when they attack. And so this is a standard hit. And you always do the type of damage that is indicated here on the card. So in this case, it's a grapple damage. This here is not a hit, but it gives you a defense token of the type of attack you do. So I would get a grapple defense token. Then we got this card here with this both. Get a defense token and do a damage. And we got an exploding die, so you do a damage and you can roll an additional die. Okay, so let's hope for the best here. Okay, these are simply 2 hits. It's a grapple attack, so she cannot block that with her punch defense tokens. So now she simply takes 2 damage that we're going to place here. Okay. And that's all that happened, right? Nothing else. Yeah, maybe that wasn't, I don't know if that was clever or not. I was hoping to generate a defense token while I got my 2 kicks, but I might take a wound or 2 next turn. We're going to see, I guess. Now this card goes to the discard pile, and now we go to the react phase. So that means the marionette doll will activate now. So she attacks. And now I can't choose because she attacks. I think she attacks only one guy, right? Let me see. Okay, so now both of these guys are engaged, Victoria and Lion. So I can actually choose which fighter she attacks if it's not specified here on the card. So I'm going to let her attack Lion because he has different types of defense tokens, so it's more likely that he can defend an attack because she only has the kick defense. And now if she kicks, we're fucked, right? That was unlucky then, but we'll see. She attacks with 2 dice, so plus 1 attack value if the target has no defense tokens. That's not the case. Okay, so she does a fist and a grapple. Perfect. So we can simply remove these 2 tokens now, and that's pretty much it then. So no damage here. He managed to parry these 2 attacks, and then we go, actually that was already the react phase, then we go to the draw phase, and again we hope for tactic, and this is not a tactic. Alright, that sucks. Then we go to the enemy turn again. So we activate Kemono. Attacks each fighter, not happening. Then we place 1 power or place a random defense token. So I didn't realize that. We can simply place the power here for now. That's totally fine. And by the way, this guy now counts as a fighter, right? These are treated as fighters. So that means each fighter not attacked must place 1 power on a tactic or place 1 random defense token. So we're simply going to place this here, and it doesn't matter because he would attack each one, but because we're in the other room, we're totally safe from this guy. So yeah, I don't know, it might be a little bit boring here. As I mentioned, sometimes these things are a little weird because of the specific combination of the modules. But we'll see. We'll see how it plays out. Now he does this. The mutant prowess. Kimono discards 3 power from this card. Okay, so this is simply removed again and attacks otherwise and attacks each one. So okay, no, nothing happens there. And then he simply moves on here. Where we go here. The boss flips an adjacent objective, so he flips this one here. Then he moves 3 spaces toward the nearest inactive objective. So he simply moves 1, 2, 3. Okay, he simply moves over here. Fine. Yeah, that's it. Now the mobsters, each active objective moves 3 spaces toward the nearest safe. Okay. Okay, so he moves 1, 2, and then he moves in here, 3. Okay. And now the other guy moves 1, 2, 3. Well, he cannot stop here, so if an enemy figure would end its movement in a safe, is that a figure? That is an interesting question. Do these objectives count as figures? This is something I have to check. Yeah, so actually here it says objective tokens are mobsters and are treated as enemy figures with 1 health. Okay, so therefore he cannot end his movement here, and instead he moves simply an additional space toward the nearest safe. So yeah, I'm going to move him here. And yeah, so we activated these. Now we're going to draw a card. Cover your assets. If no objectives are active, each fighter flips an inactive objective to its active side. Oh dear. Otherwise, each fighter moves a different active objective 3 spaces toward the safe nearest it. This is maybe a problem, because they will actually immediately reach the safe. So maybe we cannot take things as easy as I thought I could take them. Okay, so what exactly? Each objective then... Oh no, wait a minute. This happens... okay, no. So actually they move to the safe now, and so does this guy. 1, 2, 3. Well, he doesn't reach the safe though. He moves here. The safe is next to it. But what's interesting is each objective on a safe places 1 power on this card and is defeated. But that only happens when this card activates. And because this card activates before the stage card is drawn, this guy doesn't do anything for now. He's just basically standing on the safe, and that's it. Okay, so that's the end, but we got to be careful here, because if he would activate now, then the first marker would go on this card, but I mean, it's pretty unlikely. Okay, now we're going to roll a die and see if we get a second companion. And we don't, it's a 4. Okay. So, all right. So for now, we're fine. Flip the cards again. I wish I had a few more tactic cards with her. That's really a bit of an issue. I cannot really improve her. But it seems that this special layout of the stage with the two rooms gives me actually a lot of time. Otherwise, this guy would basically attack more or less every turn with 5 dice, each of the fighters, which would be a big issue. But for now, it seems we're safe. I mean, eventually, if we want to kill him, we have to move into this room. But we can wait until we are in a little bit of a better position. And until then, we can just basically try to kill the minions and the mobsters. And I think it seems like this stage is kind of under control. But we'll see. Okay, yeah, I'm going to load this up and hope to see you on the next video. Bye.